All right, Lego 17 minutes, gun plus five. And indeed, it is that time we get into the business side of things on Business Hub. And today is not going to be any different. It's going to be an insightful as well as an interesting one. So I urge you to come through and share your thoughts. It's very welcome. If you're wondering how you can share your thoughts, well, WhatsApp is the platform. 0809 4440981 is the number. You get to share those interesting thoughts with me. And today we're going to be talking about Nigeria's $1 billion dollar deal for the sugar sufficiency. And your guess is as good as mine. Well, I'm hoping that if this deal goes through, we will have all the help that we need when it comes to the sugar side of things. We need to be sweet, right? Anyways, my guest this evening is a research analyst at First Asset Management, and her name is Jennifer Audu. Good evening and welcome, Jennifer.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right, welcome, 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 and glad to have you to weigh in on this conversation and share all the insight because, hey, when I saw this update, I was wondering, now that we're having this, large amount being put into the sugar, production, that is good. It is also pushing us towards being self-sufficient, and it's a Chinese company that is, or a Chinese firm that is boosting this. But can we even begin by understanding the gap between the sugar production in Nigeria as well as the consumption so that maybe when we understand what the gap is, we'll be able to understand why we need this funds being put in, and we'll be able to get a better understanding and see why it's beneficial for us.
Oh, okay. So in terms of when we're speaking of the gap between our sugar production and what we consume here in Nigeria, the gap
Mm,
is pretty much large. We're looking at in terms of safe to say we consume a whole lot more than we produce. We're looking at a gap of say if we're producing about 1.7 million metric tons of sugar in a year,
right.
if we're consuming that, we're producing just 2% of that, which is it doesn't even amount to about 50,000 tons, metric tons, in terms of production per year. So,
Okay.
in order to bridge that gap so far, Nigeria has had to import the deficit in terms of sugar that would consume in the country. So this just leaves we're looking at a supply gap of over about 1.5 million tons in terms of supply issue.
Mm, okay. Now that gap is is really a wide margin. I didn't know that that gap was that wide. But yes, I know that we consume a lot, but not seeing that we're not even anywhere near production to help balance it out. Yeah, now those numbers are why we are where we are. Anyways, let's get into the conversation further. And this time I want to talk about you know, I've always heard about the sugar master plan, and this was actually um, established sometime in 2012. Can you
Yes.
help remind us what those goals are again? So, for those who've forgotten, they know what to look out for and know, okay, so maybe we are on the right path, or if it's something that, hey, we're just scratching the surface level.
Okay, yeah, so you're correct in saying the Nigerian Sugar Master Plan was incorporated sometime in 2012, right? So this project was the master plan was done in order to I mean one of the goals was to achieve self-sufficiency in terms of sugar production, just to bridge
Mm,
that gap, the gap we're talking about in terms of consumption and production. Well, the goal of the Nigerian Sugar Master Plan was also to create new job opportunities for Nigerians. That's the Nigerian youth. We're looking at over 100,000 jobs that was meant to be created from the Nigerian Sugar Master Plan. Also, in addition to that, one of the goals was to contribute to the production of ethanol, and this would just
okay.
serve to aid in our electricity generation in Nigeria as a whole. So so far, I believe the Nigerian Sugar Master Plan since the incorporation has attracted just over 1 billion in investment, and it has led to significant innovations around backward integration policies that has pushed a lot of Nigerian sugar producers to invest in local cultivation as well as refining
Hmm.
sugar. And this is just in a bid to get to that part where we can safely say we are self-sufficient in terms of our sugar production.
Hmm. Just an aside, really, is there any way we can actually, you know, get anywhere? I know we have the funds right now, but prior to this, do you think that would have even been able to get anywhere near what we're looking at with the master plan? I've not even touched the two companies, major companies in Nigeria who are actually in this business. I don't want to mention their names just yet, but if uh, we had to look at it holistically, right? Do you think that there would have been any point in time where we would have been able to meet up with this plan?
To be honest, I don't see that I don't really see us moving, like getting to this point where we are at right now without the set players that you have not spoken about, right? Because we are
Mm-hmm.
looking at issues around I mean, would have to cultivate sugar, right, in order to produce sugar and become self-sufficient. We're looking at issues around land acquisition. It's not easy to get that the large land space that would use to cultivate the amount of sugar that would need. And then there's
Mm.
the issue around insecurity in growing regions, most especially in the
Right,
northern part of
right.
Nigeria. And then the fact that our agricultural industry, our agricultural infrastructure is already weak. I mean, we already have issues around food inflation as a whole, not to talk of
Mm-hmm.
segmenting it down to our sugar production and how to meet sugar needs going forward. So, I mean, only
Mm.
5 to about 6% of the national sugar demand is currently met through local production. So, without those two main players in the market, I don't even see us meeting the set 2%, 2 to 3% that we're currently doing in terms of production right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that insight. Well, that's why I have you here. I know you've done your own research, so it's good to have someone who is in this field, give us more insight. For the layperson, they're like, "Ah, so with all the big names, so to speak, they're not, you would think that we're able to meet up with our sugar. We're not even meeting the ones that we consumers will be able to say, okay, we have enough. Not talk of exporting it because we still somehow get some from, I know Brazil is one of the countries where we get
Yes, yes.
a lot of our sugar from, but let's not even get into that. Let's gradually get there. Because it's a lot when we think about it. I know how once upon a time, when I was I had this fascination that, oh, okay, I was going to be a great baker. I was going to do this and that. Oh, yes. I was one of those people as, oh, I had
Wow.
to make um, specialty kind of breads, cakes, and all that. So I know what it meant to have sugar accessible. And there's no bakery where you don't have sugar. If you don't have access to sugar, you know that it's not going to be especially if you're trying to mass produce, there's going to be a deficiency somehow, somewhere. And then you don't have those, the right ingredients to help match up. Even if you say you want to find alternative, you know how expensive that's going to even get. But let me not digress. Let's come back to the sugar and how the Chinese firm is also trying to make things better. Now, talking about them, right? Let's talk about this deal between Nigeria and this Chinese firm. I think the name is Sinomatch. If
Yeah,
my
still man.
Okay, what do you make of it? What's your thoughts?
I mean, looking at this deal holistically, I mean, the partnerships does seem promising. I'm not going to lie. I mean, especially given the fact that China's expertise, the Sinomatch is a Chinese company, right? So given the
Mm-hmm.
fact that China's expertise in agro-industrial infrastructure is, I mean, well known,
Yes.
it just shows that it signals a form of renewed investors' confidence in not just in our sugar sector, but in the Nigerian market and the Nigerian space as a whole. And I believe this could actually help to address key gaps in processing our sugar processing technology, as well as farm mechanization areas where Nigeria already lags, like Nigeria is experiencing lags in so far.
Oh, right, right, right. It's just amazing that they've decided to come on board and then talking about how much they're willing to invest in this. This is 1 million. It's not 1 million naira, it's
Ah,
$1 billion.
it's a lot.
Sorry, 1 billion.
One
$1
billion,
billion
$1
dollars.
billion dollars.
Excuse me. Because that's a whole lot for, this is an investor coming in and pumping in this amount of money into this sector. What do you think this would mean with the current, what's the word I'm looking for now? You already have two major sugar companies here. What does that mean for them? Is that more competition? Does that mean that, hey, it's this look, well, or rather, we're looking at how we too will also get to bump up our own sugar production, have enough for consumption, and then be able to export?
Looking at it in terms of the already existing players and this new player coming into the market, of course, it does create another competition. It adds competition to the market. But when you're looking at, if you look at it from the point of our consumption and our production dynamics, I mean, it is a welcome competition. Looking at the numbers for the listed players, the sugar producers in Nigeria. So as at 2024, we had over about 1.8 trillion naira in just the sales of sugar, right, for
Mm,
2024. And
mm.
the, our current consumption is not being met, and they are still getting to these numbers. So if Sinoma wants to come to the playing ground and is going to help us to just increase production and meet the demand that we know that we have a very large demand that needs to be filled. I mean, it's a welcome thing to the. If we're being honest, it's a
It,
welcome
it's
competition.
it's actually something we should be glad about
Yes.
having them on board. Well, Lagos, let's have your thoughts this evening. 0809 4440981. That is the number on WhatsApp. And we're talking about everything sugar. How sweet do you think this deal is? Let me know what your thoughts are. Come through. And well, immediately after this quick breather, we definitely will take your thoughts and contributions. All right, Jen. It's just a quick, Jennifer, it's just a quick breather, just about a minute, and we'll get back in.
Okay, okay, thank you.
We are a dynamic non-interest bank that truly cares about your financial progress. If you desire ethical prosperity, our project finance, small business facilities, individual savings products, and electronic banking solutions are carefully tailored to provide you with superior banking experience delivered in the most ethical and responsible manner. As Lotus Bank, it is partnership for progress. We share your risks profit, making it a must win for all. Open a Lotus Bank account today or use any cashless platforms, ATMs, mobile banking, or internet banking to enjoy seamless transactions. Contact our 24/7 call center. Dial 07000 Lotus Bank, which is 07000 or visit www.lotusbank.com. Lotus Bank. Partner. Progress. Prosper.
Let's live it all. Right here on Smooth 98.1. Good music.
All right, Lagos, it is 32 minutes gone past five, and you are tuned in to Business Hub here on Smooth 98.1. And today we've been talking about the Nigeria's sweet deal. Yes, I say it's a sweet deal because $1 billion has been put into the sugar production, and we're looking at how we can be sufficient. And my guest, who is a research analyst at First Asset Management, is Jennifer Audu. Welcome once again, and glad to have you still with me. Are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Thank
All
you.
right. Yeah, because sometimes the network could just do a number, so just need to be sure. But yes, Lagos, you as well can share your thoughts as we journey along, uh, on this interesting deal. And talking about the deal, one thing I would like to ask, really is why should we be confident about this deal? What is the meaningful results we're hoping to get? I know that you've spoken about how, well, initially I spoke about increased production, consumption, and all that. What other things can we look forward to with this deal?
Okay, I mean, if we do looking at what we know about the deal, right?
All right.
Match is providing the capital, obviously $1 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
what the government has to do is just to provide to enable policies as well as provide land area for them to
Mm,
just cultivate and produce as required. So they are doing, I believe they are doing the majority of the hard work, bringing capital as well as the technology. And what our
mm,
government just needs to do in turn is ensure that there are policies that would just continue to back and ensure that they have like a smoothless transition in order to establish and produce sugar. So I believe it's a high impact collaboration when you look at it that way, right? We bring the money, you give us land, and that just makes sense. It balances all factors. And then when you think about it, in terms of already existing policy, I mean it aligns with our existing policy framework, like the Nigerian Sugar Master Plan, right? So it just goes to show that they are getting external support that they need so far. And then
okay.
with the government backing, I mean, if as long as the government backing is consistent, it will provide a more stable investment environment going forward. And we might actually see more investors coming as long as much succeed. So I believe it's something we should be confident about. It's not like other investments where we might see issues around capital. We already have the capital. So I don't see any reason why the government won't produce won't make available land for their use. So I believe we should be confident about it and we should see good results going forward.
Mm. I like how you put it, and I'm hoping that well, the government will also, come through and do the needful. But talking about that, what other foreign investments should we be looking at? I know now we have sugar. We're looking at sugar. What other sector within this field should we be looking at that will be having more foreign investors coming to, putting their funds?
To be honest, I think the most investment we should see like coming to the country right now should be around the agri sector because
Okay.
like I mentioned earlier on, the infrastructure deficit we have there is significant. And I
Mm,
believe that there's a lot of opportunity there for investors. I mean, if you come, you invest. We have a lot of food growing regions in
right.
Nigeria as a whole. We can actually do that. We can actually produce our food. We're not just talking about sugar right now. We're talking about other food crops.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
Our main issue right now is just around our infrastructure, our whole road networks, than the fact that there are insecurities in certain region, which I believe the government is already addressing. I mean,
Right.
if we see more like foreign investors like Sinomatch come into the agri space and then just go to like support or collaborate with local farmers, we would
Right.
actually see in terms of our food inflation, we'll see that translates to lower food inflation numbers going forward. And then in terms
Mm.
of overall investments, I mean, it's going to be a positive for the country.
I like that. I'm hoping that that is something that we put in more of our funds and we are able to get the investors who will be, tapping in the space. Fingers crossed, Nigeria.
Yes,
I was going to say just Lagos, but no, it's fingers crossed, Nigeria, because we're in this together, and hopefully we get more investors who will come in, tap into our agri sector, and see how the farmers could also get something to support them. And talking about farmers, now I know we've touched it a little around the agri sector. My question basically is, how can we upscale our subsistence farmers? What do we need to do from our own side before we now start thinking, oh, okay, we need the investors, foreign investors, but how can even investors in Nigeria tap into that space before attracting the right kind of people?
I would say, well, first off, to start with, I would say, going to reiterate and say investment in our rural infrastructure is key, right? I mean,
Right.
that is like the basis of our problem, poor infrastructure. So if we are to get like significant investment in our rural infrastructure, that would just
Mm,
would see that link from farmers to market, like there's
mhm,
that easy transition. We can take out our products and get it to the market safely in good peace. I mean, good quality products will be coming out from the farm. And then we could also see, I mean, there could also be investments around say mechanization. You find out that a lot of farmers in Nigeria are still in that um, rural space, right, where they are not exposed to like good tools in terms of farming, right? So if we have like if the government will say provide access to credit, increase mechanization, farm mechanization, and maybe extension of services, like they could go around teaching most of these farmers like improve technology and new innovative ways on how to farm and get the best quality product to the market. That would go a long way. It would go a long way. And also maybe in addition, just include like maybe commercial clusters that would help transition farmers into agri cooperatives. Just to put just a little bit of what I think they should be doing, the government should be doing to help scale up farming in Nigeria.
thank you so much for that. Hmm, see, yeah, I'm so excited that this is something we're talking about because when it comes to farming, if we can get it right, would be able to provide for all the meals or at least be able to sort out our own side before we start thinking of even wanting to export. If you're able to if you're able to get it right when it comes to farming, a lot of people wouldn't have to be worried about, oh, okay, when is the next meal coming? And that
Right.
is basically what has also affected most of the farmers. They're always talking about, okay, when they're done, when they've harvested, trying to get it out to others feels like it's such a huge hassle. So all these are part of the reasons why we're talking about this. And like I said, Lagos, you can also share your thoughts as well. And if you have further insights, come through 0809 4440 981. And talking about globalization, right? I know we have this is one of the things that I know. working for you? Let me know what your thoughts are. All right, Jennifer, good to have you back.
Hi, good to be back.
Right. I don't know what happened. Seems the gremlins just got a hold of the network as you were about to respond to the message, to the question rather. So, hey, come through. Can you hear me now? Uh,
Yes, I can get you. Sorry, I missed the question. I
okay,
didn't
so
get that.
okay, so we're talking about self-sufficiency when it comes to food production, and then the role imports will make. I know we touched on it just a tad bit, but I wanted to know what's your outlook for 2025 where agriculture sector is concerned.
Um, okay, I would say in terms of self-sufficiency, I mean, I don't think any country would be totally self-sufficient. It's highly unlikely, especially in
Okay.
a globalized world, right? But
Mm,
our goal would be strategic self-reliance to just produce key staples like say rice, maize, cassava, right, locally while just maintaining sensible import buffers. So regarding my outlook for the agri sector in 2025, I mean
mhm.
I expect moderate growth for the sector, and this would
Okay.
be driven by rising food demand as well as policy push, because we would expect that the government to just try to put encouraging policies that would drive investors into this sector, and that would also contribute to the growth that would expect. And then with moderate growth again, because there's the persistent risk of climate change, right? That is
Mm.
not something that we can control. And then the insecurity, that's which I believe we can control
Ah, yes,
spot
it's that.
on, right? So the
Mm,
insecurity is something, is a risk, is a downside risk to the outlook as well as
mm,
logistics. So overall, the agri sector should just overall it should be I believe it should be a cornerstone for job creation in the country, and as well as our FX diversification. But all of this positivity that we'd expect from the agri sector would only be gotten if we have encouraging government policies that are in place to just help the sector grow. And
mm.
I mean, the sector has potential for growth, just government policies that would encourage investment into the sector.
All right. That's that's actually great stuff. Thank you so much for, not just sharing your thoughts, but also giving us your time and, breaking it down and making it very understandable. I trust you'll have yourself a very pleasant evening. And I'm sure you're looking forward to the holiday.
Yes, I am.
Mhm. I just had to plug that in. All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Have yourself a pleasant evening. And hey, do take care of yourself. And I'm sure
Thank
that
you for having me.
when next we reach out, you'll be very available to, answer more of our questions.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for having me. To have a nice day.
All right. Thank you so much. And Lagos, thank you as well for giving me your ear and your time. Always a pleasure here